So for us, we have an accelerator program, and it's really rooted in the power of community. So there is an author, John Levy's written a book, and he talks about in this book that the single most sort of important factor in determining success in life is community. And it doesn't necessarily mean wealth and power, although that obviously can factor in, but it can be in health too. If you're trying to lose weight, you have a much more greater chance of doing it with like others, like with friends, with your community. If you're going to live longer, if you look at blue zones, right, there's an opportunity, and your community shapes that, right, and shapes your chance to live, much longer, have a much greater longevity. So for us, it's about how do we harness, how do we leverage community in a way that really is supportive, not just in funding, but also in mentorship, in coaching, in just also providing a sense of community in a very lonely journey as an entrepreneur. So there's lots of ways that we can all collectively think about what kind of unique influence, resources, and access we all have, and how we can fit those around, in this case, entrepreneurs, to really help them, nurture them, and support them in that process as they scale.
Amazing. Rita, what about you?
So for us at Maze, Acceleration is about supporting entrepreneurs who are starting their journey and are very ambitious in their endeavors, and at Maze in particular focus on impact agnostic in terms of topics, but they have to be trying to tackle a big social, environmental topic. So it's difficult by itself, and in the beginning of your journey as an entrepreneur, you're under-resourced. And so the whole idea of Acceleration is literally, on the one hand, trying to strengthen the founders' teams in the beginning with a platform of resources, of talent, with experience in different industries, different expertises, bringing in investors, corporates, and accelerating basically the process of developing the product, validating product market fit. And it's also a way of accelerating the entrepreneur's entrance and contact with the market. So by quickly getting feedback, by quickly starting to establish their network of contacts, which they can then leverage on and move on to the next network or next acceleration program or next whatever in their next phase of their path. So the whole idea is really to be part of their team, listen to what they need, and adapt and offer something that strengthens their reality in that current stage, I feel.
And how did you get to that outcome? Like, what did acceleration in the beginning mean to you? Like, how do you think acceleration? Yeah, how do you think things are accelerated?
For us, acceleration, so our approach, there are a lot of different approaches. I mean, you can be accelerating a startup in a lot of different phases of their process, and you can do it in different ways. For us, it's about listening to the founders and the team's needs. We don't really have a recipe in a way, like a methodology in place. We're there to listen. How can we help? Acknowledging that they all have different realities, different needs, different stages, even if they all fit in the same whatever pre-seed box. So listening and then making an individual plan and trying to help as we can. But they are accountable for their decisions. We're just here to give feedback, build trust, but really just trying to answer however
suited.
It's suited.
And Ingrid, what about you?
Yes.
What does acceleration mean to you?
No, in Katapult we invest in and accelerate startups through our 3 months program. It's really intense. Some startups have compared it with drinking from a fire hose. Not very good, but still we help startups to focus, because it's very busy being a startup and they have a lot of plans that they have to do. So we try to help them focus on what they're going to do next for the next few years, but also to really get the impact in their back, so that when they scale the company, then it's really they know that this is what we're going. This is our mission. It's not only in the founder's head, but also in the whole organization.
Yeah. I'm really curious if each of you could maybe name an example of an experience or an entrepreneur or a community member that through your approach to acceleration has been, that you saw the acceleration. Like, would you, and we can go popcorn style here, it doesn't need to go that way. But does any example come to mind?
Sure. So there's a company that a longtime NEXUS member. He runs or started Coral Vita, and they regrow coral in labs 50 times faster in the lab than it can in the sea. So they are able to grow like a big brain coral in 18 months that would take 80 years in nature. And so in part of us supporting him, again, it was coming back to that idea of community. He was looking for where he could set up his first lab, their first physical location. And we had another a member whose family owns a lot of the Grand Bahama Island, and they were building a kind of a blue action lab for other kind of ocean startups. And so we were able to plug him in there, and it wasn't just that it was a place for him to grow and develop, and he got the funding to do so, but it also had that power of community where there's a lot of other kind of startups in the same place and same time as he was. Yeah. So it was really, for him, helped make it a little easier, transition a little easier to live in the Bahamas. It made it a little bit easier for him to feel less alone. It was, they also were growing together, so there was like energy and also, again, power of community. When investors or partners would come down, they weren't just say, oh, it's a long way to go for one company, but there were 6 or 7. So then they had demo days, and they had a chance to sort of attract more investors and support because they were all in it together. So for us, that was an example of, again, finding that power and harnessing the power of community.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have SolarDuck, Dutch company, came out of the accelerator last December or 1.5 years ago, and just they had a test out in the waters. They're doing floating solar. So that was really, they really focused in the accelerator program, really engaged, and got a lot of from both our network, but also working with the mentors within the program and the other startups. And so it was really, after 6 months, they had one test out in the ocean. And also now looking at Asia to expand there as well. So it's really, they've grown really fast. It's a really good company.
Amazing.
Maybe I'll talk about an example of, a startup that actually went through our first cohort. There were, 3 founders already with 2 people in the team working on the sharing economy, a peer-to-peer platform. So they really wanted to share the way we relate to products, from consumption to usability. And they were very special, very talented. We could see it, very hardworking, super bootstrapped from the beginning. They were pushing their first funding round as much as they could. And in the acceleration, basically what we were trying to work with them, and we actually managed, was understanding that peer-to-peer was amazing to test and validate the potential for, both from a demand and supply point of view for that concept, but trying to get the financial aspect of it, the financial sustainability. So we kind of built the B2B model, acknowledging that there's already a wide market of small and micro companies in this market. So they basically shifted and started, so keeping their mission at stake, they were able to then change it because we kind of helped them take a step back with all the network that we brought to adapt, and now they have eventually we invested in them. We helped them raise their first and second round, and it's now a sounding business, still in their process. But the aspect of the acceleration was really helping them take a step back and understand that was very important what they did, but they would have to switch. And if we hadn't challenged them on that, they probably would have taken a little bit longer until they did that shift. Yeah.
Amazing. And I mean, the last question I really have is, you, in the role of accelerator for these incredible entrepreneurs or change makers, policymakers, etc., what do you need to accelerate yourselves as accelerators?
That's a good question.
I think we're building up our network around, because we see that we're accelerated, but still we need to learn a lot. So it's at least impact investing. It's evolving all the time. So be on the field there and learn from others. So now we're working with Systemic and Thousand Ocean Startups, the coalition in the ocean field. It's really helpful for us to guess, because it's a jungle of different impact frameworks and systems methods to work with. So it's really helpful for us to be able to share our knowledge and learn from others, and also discuss with others, so that we're also in that network community, so we're not sitting there having all the answers.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're always looking for the network effect. So our core competency is building community, so we're always looking for partners to send us incredible companies that we can consider. And then we're always looking for funding mechanisms as well, because we don't provide any funding for the fellows. And we're always looking, to help them go beyond even once the program ends over 6 months. So we're always looking for network effects to find companies and help them go beyond what we provide.
Amazing.
Yeah. For us, I subscribe what has been shared in terms of, more network, more collaborations, like with all the different accelerators and other players in the market, because the idea is really that you create the biggest network you can so that you can pick up the support. But I would also highlight the business model aspect of an accelerator. Everyone knows it's hard, right? And I feel that accelerators add a lot of value in the ecosystem. And before, in one of the panels in the morning, we're talking about like how much capital is going into, later stage rounds, and we need to build pipeline. There's more and more funds being created, especially in the impact scene, and we need to create it. And so accelerators are an amazing way of accelerating that creation of pipeline. So I also feel that, having more funders, betting on this process, understanding that the risk is higher because you're going earlier in the scale of development, obviously, and also you have a support structure, so you have to pay for that. It's not just a management fee. The model is different, but I think it's very important for this awareness of the needs of accelerators and the business model being what it is. I think it's something important.
And to add on to that, there's a lot of research that says, like, if you come through an accelerator, that company is much more likely to succeed because, of course, it depends on the accelerator, but because of the support along the way. So it actually, in some sense, yes, it's early stage, maybe a little riskier, but you're also de-risking by going through the process.
Definitely.
So, to your point.
Amazing. Well, with that, I think I'd like to thank you so much. Check out all these incredible accelerators and programs. And on to the next one.
Thank you.
Thank you.